Everyone's building a house. You notice Jesus uses the word everyone over and over again. He uses it in verse 24. He uses it again in verse 26. He's showing the universality of the truth that everybody has a spirituality. There are no atheists, basically. Even atheists have faith commitments. Everyone's building a house, and everyone's going to experience judgment, and everyone's going to fall under, everyone will stand before Jesus and give an account. But some people would look at a text like that and say, well, is Jesus teaching a kind of a works-based salvation? Is it your good works that makes you saved? And I don't think you can get that from this text for a couple of different reasons. The first one is that if you're going to apply the teachings of the Sermon on the Mount itself will not teach works-based righteousness. The Sermon on the Mount, if you go back to the Beatitudes, the very beginning point of the Sermon on the Mount isn't work your way to heaven. The beginning of the Sermon on the Mount is blessed are the poor in spirit. Blessed are the ones who realize their spiritual bankruptcy, who know they can't get into the heaven, who know that they need to plead for God's mercy in order to enter into the kingdom. It's not those who think they can get there by being good enough. It's those who know they can't get there because they're wicked and they need mercy. So just the teaching of Jesus itself excludes this kind of idea that you work your way to heaven. The other thing is that if it's true you get into heaven through your works, then it's true that you could probably lose your salvation if you're not working hard enough. And Jesus teaches against that when in the previous paragraph when he says, meaning you're going to say to me, Lord, Lord, didn't we do this, that, and the other in your name? And I will declare to them, I never knew you. He doesn't say, I used to know you and we grew apart. He doesn't say you were saved, but you fell from grace. He says you never had it. You never had the kingdom truth. I never knew you. And so he's not teaching a works-based righteousness. He's teaching the Sermon on the Mount. And the Sermon on the Mount says there's a sense in which when you realize your spiritual bankruptcy, you're broken over that sin, and you surrender yourself to the will of the Father, and you begin to desire the righteousness that only he can give, something transformative happens in your heart, and that transformative grace in your life produces obedience in your life. It produces a desire to do the will of the Father, which is to obey the teachings of Jesus. And if your faith doesn't produce in you that kind of activity, then there's something wrong with your faith. And the wrongness of the faith is at the level of the heart, not at the level of the activity. You can still go to church. You can tithe. You can do all of those activities. But if there isn't something changed at the level of the heart, then there's something wrong. Something wrong at the heart. The fruit leads to the root.